Can evil forces possess people? And can faith drive them out? Do undead creatures stalk the night, ever thirsting for blood? Are practitioners of black magic able to bend and twist other humans to their will? Next on the Critical Eye, the dark side.
Olho Crítico.
Sinister forces, the power of the night, the battle between good and evil. Hello, I'm William B. Davis. In this hour of the Critical Eye, we'll look at the dark side, a seemingly mysterious aspect of life where we find phenomena like voodoo, witchcraft, and vampires. In our first segment, exorcism, we'll explore the ritual used to free people from the demons they think possess them. But is demonic possession real? Do humans really cast out devils?
Ele é chamado de campeão das artes ocultas, o príncipe da noite, o anjo caído, Satanás. Como uma serpente, Satanás espreita nas sombras, esperando para atacar. E se Satanás se apoderar de uma alma, ele lutará para ficar com ela. Durante séculos, muitos usaram um ritual chamado exorcismo para libertar o domínio de Satanás.
Exorcism is a procedure which people turn to cure them of those evil spirits, to expel the spirits of evil demons, to drive them out somehow.
O escritor Michael Cuneo testemunhou em primeira mão mais de 50 rituais de exorcismo. Descobriu que não há duas possessões satânicas iguais.
I regularly ran across people who believed that they'd been demonized by spirits of addiction, by spirits of lust, by spirits of marital infidelity, and they will be satisfied with nothing other than an exorcism. That's all they want.
Wherever there is demonic possession, there is going to be exorcism. You can be certain of that. In an intact culture where people believe that they can be possessed by demonic forces, there are going to be agencies that work to drive out those demonic spiritual forces from their bodies.
Como antropólogo, o Dr. Phil Stevens vê algum valor terapêutico no exorcismo. Ele o equipara a um recurso da medicina.
It's almost identical to what clinicians call the placebo effect. It involves cultural expectations. People believe that a demon is possessing them, and people believe that the priest can exorcise the demon.
He's smitten with angels of God! He's smitten!
Há décadas, um homem realiza exorcismos como trabalho de vida.
Word of God! We divide soul and spirit to separate the demonic from the human.
Bob Larson, uma personalidade reconhecida nacionalmente na TV e no rádio, é ministro e exorcista.
The devil has one problem. He's not omnipresent. He's not everywhere as God is. So how does the devil then achieve his purposes? If he too has to use human instruments to bring about evil and wreak havoc with humanity, he then has to find a way to animate those human instruments to do his will.
Larson percorre o mundo dando conferências sobre exorcismo. Nesses fóruns abertos, Larson exorciza membros da plateia atormentados por seus próprios demônios. Tradicionalmente, os possuídos procuram a igreja. Então, um sacerdote e sua equipe realizam um ritual que vem sendo tentado através dos anos.
Most exorcisms that take place in the United States today can be broken down into 4 stages. The first of these is the preliminary stage. This is when the person seeking the exorcism comes into the room, comes into the place where the exorcism is scheduled to take place, and sits down and talks about her problems or his problems.
No segundo estágio, a equipe de exorcismo tenta avaliar se a possessão satânica de fato ocorreu. E se ocorreu, como prosseguir?
If they determine that the person is demonized, then it moves to the 3rd stage. This is the really dramatic stage of the exorcism, the demon expulsion stage. This is when it can get down and dirty and when the exorcist actually attempts to expel the person's demons, drive the demons out.
O exorcismo pode parecer violento. Os corpos das vítimas se contorcem e convulsionam. Elas gritam, amaldiçoam e falam outras línguas. Finalmente, os espíritos do mal são considerados vencidos e expulsos.
It wraps up with what I would call a pastoral or therapeutic stage. The exorcist and the exorcist support team, they try to determine whether in fact the exorcism has been successful, whether more work needs to be done.
Avanços na medicina levam investigadores como Joe Nickel, do Centro para a Investigação, à conclusão de que a possessão demoníaca há muito foi mal diagnosticada.
We know now from modern psychology, we know that there are mental illnesses and mental aberrations and strange mental states that were not known in ancient times when exorcism grew up and was codified in sacred writings. We know that people have epileptic seizures, and we know what those are. And those are not being possessed by a demon.
Características de ataques epiléticos, tais como tremores, convulsões e a perda da linguagem e do controle emocional, teriam sido motivo de preocupação para esses estranhos episódios.
These are tormented souls who are looking for help to escape their misery. If we can bring them to an understanding of their dignity and value as a creature of God, then the getting rid of the devil is almost incidental to that process.
Os críticos desacreditam esses exorcismos em massa, alegando que não passam de teatro religioso.
An exorcist, just like a faith healer, is able to use some of the same techniques that stage hypnotists use, of selection and compliance and suggestion and role-playing.
I guilt. I guilt.
Possession is very easily faked, very easy to role play. All you have to do is act a little weird.
He's had enough yet. I call on an angel of the Lord to come right now and just smite him completely.
The exorcist gestures or touches at you and you begin to shake or tremble or give up the spirit.
Real ou imaginária, a prática do exorcismo prospera pelo mundo. A ciência define muitos aspectos da possessão demoníaca como aberrações físicas e mentais. Acredita-se que essa forma de psicose é causada pelo mau funcionamento do neurotransmissor dopamina no cérebro. Já que a dopamina controla tanto a capacidade motora quanto as emoções, levantou-se a hipótese de que a suposta possessão demoníaca, em muitos casos, é o resultado de um sistema dopaminérgico que deixa de funcionar adequadamente. Mas para quem acredita que estão possuídos, o exorcismo pode ser a única resposta.
They need to see this. They need to look into the eyes of evil. They need to get up close and personal and actually look into the soul of a person, eyeball to eyeball, and see that supernatural force of indescribable evil look forth from their being. And then ask themselves, is this real?
Science cannot address the question of do demons really exist? These are matters of faith, matters of belief. There is no evidence that certain ailments are caused by the intrusion of supernatural forces into one's body. There's simply no scientific evidence.
Many people believe in exorcism, but what some call possession, others call pathology. When it comes to dealing with demons, maybe diagnosis is in the eye of the beholder.
Bruxas. Desde o início da infância, somos cativados por histórias de seus poderes maléficos, suas habilidades com a magia negra e suas maldições. Enquanto essas imagens persistem no cinema e na literatura, as bruxas modernas discordam desses estereótipos negativos.
The word witch is greatly misunderstood. It conjures images of green-faced hags with warts on their noses, consorting with the devil and stirring up evil potions. But the fact is that the word witch is actually an old Anglo-Saxon word, witcha. It meant wise one or shaman.
Phyllis Curott, escritora e advogada, também é bruxa praticante. Ela acredita que o conceito da bruxa má surgiu depois do medo do desconhecido da religião moderna.
The witch is the handmaiden of the devil. It's basically a religious stereotype, and it arose about 500 years ago during the church's persecution of the Jews during the Inquisition, who were accused of worshiping Satan and killing Christian babies and all sorts of things, which were then carried over to the persecution of women. And so that stereotype has survived until recently, when those of us who practice have reemerged from the broom closet to set the record straight.
Curott e suas companheiras bruxas praticam uma forma de adoração conhecida como Wicca, uma veneração neopagã da deusa Terra.
The core spiritual idea is that the divine is everywhere present in the world, that everything that exists is an embodiment of divine energy. In fact, that coincides with physics that says that everything, at the quantum energy level, everything is energy and everything's interconnected. And for witches and for shamans, we know that that energy is present in nature.
Witchcraft is a belief system. It has never been documented to actually exist.
O antropólogo Phil Stevens observa que a prática de Wicca tem pouco em comum com o mito da bruxaria.
The concept of witchcraft in the West has such a history of evil connection, going way, way back to the late Middle Ages. The Wiccans are real people. Witches were not real. Witches were totally imaginary.
Mas para sociedades que demonizavam o desconhecido, as bruxas personificavam uma ameaça bastante real. Os temerosos buscavam identificar e eliminar o mal observado.
Communities had tests of their own for women, let's say, who might be accused of being witches. They might have lumps under their arm, a certain kind of wen or blemish on their face, something peculiar about the way they wore their hair. If you just looked that way to the community, you were subject to the accusation of being a witch.
Em 1692, os habitantes de Salem, Massachusetts, começaram a suspeitar que havia bruxas entre eles. Os cidadãos começaram a observar comportamentos preocupantes em alguns de seus vizinhos.
The elders in the village were astonished at their almost insane behavior and began to investigate it, and then accused a woman called Tituba, who was half Native American and half black, as the woman who was promulgating ideas of witchcraft.
Tituba foi presa. Logo depois, muitos em Salem começaram a se acusar de bruxaria. Convocaram julgamentos que logo se transformaram numa autêntica caça às bruxas. Uma das primeiras em solo americano. Mas certamente não seria a última.
The traditional witch hunts occurred in Salem, where 19 people were hanged and one person was pressed to death because he refused to answer the charges against him. Jump a couple of hundred years.
Of one university is one communist too many.
The anti-communist sentiments of the 1950s, spearheaded by Senator Joe McCarthy, was called a witch hunt for the very same reasons. This kind of fear seems to exist in society. If it's no longer a belief that people have supernatural powers within them, there still may be the belief that people have sinister plans, conspiracies.
The tendency is to blame the outsider for it, and that, of course, is what Hitler did in the case of Nazism, to blame the Jew as the outsider, and is what McCarthy did in the case of his era, of blaming people he accused of being radical as outsiders, bent on doing harm to the community at large.
Hoje, a sumo sacerdotisa Phyllis Curott encontra refúgio seguro da ignorância e perseguição na Wicca. Curott reúne grupo de bruxas, ou coven, para uma cerimônia Wicca para homenagear a Mãe Terra.
Hand to hand, I cast this circle.
Hand to hand, I cast this circle. Hand to hand, I cast this circle.
Hand to hand, and heart to heart, we cast our circle. And so we summon the sacred into the world in the form of the ancient goddess who is with us. The circle is, for us, an expression of the way in which energy works in the world. It is an expression of the divine feminine. It's an expression of our essential equality, that all are equal and all participate equally and are essential to the integrity and the strength of the work that we do.
O Coven acredita que recebe poderes da deusa Terra. Com essa mágica natural, as bruxas fazem cantos para o bem.
Within, shine in the world around us, and cast the light of healing.
A wish for tolerance and love. Heal us, and then we in turn heal the earth. To scar earth, may it be healed by peace.
Many little lights become one great.
We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return.
When we cast a spell, we're asking for the aid of a divinity that's greater than ourselves. But we're also drawing upon our own inner sacred gifts, and we're bringing them up and giving them shape and form.
Especialistas concordam que não há evidências de que os encantos da Wicca tenham surtido qualquer resultado. Os céticos duvidam que as bruxas tirem qualquer poder especial de sua fé. Mas veem a Wicca como mais uma simples saída para os famintos espiritualmente. Mas a Wicca tem um forte apelo. Os adeptos aumentam aos milhares a cada ano. Segundo a pesquisa de identificação religiosa americana, entre 1999 e 2001, o número estimado de wiccanos cresceu mais de 1.600%. Por comparação, durante esse mesmo período, a adesão à cientologia cresceu apenas 120%. Para a sumo sacerdotisa Phyllis Curott, a aceitação é uma mudança natural e bem-vinda.
Deep down inside, people long for this power. The fact of the matter is that we do have a phenomenal power. It's a divine power, and it resides within all of us. It's not the power, however, to wiggle our noses and make furniture fly across the room. It's not supernatural. It is innate. It is organic. It is an essential part of who we are as human beings.
Wiccans do for themselves what adherents to all religions seek to do for themselves. They seek comfort. They seek predictability. They seek certainty. They seek group support. They seek the kind of emotional release that participation in ritual gives to people.
Historically, witchcraft posed a real danger, mainly for the witch, but also to society. Today, Wiccans say witchcraft is fun. Well, good.
Diz a lenda que eles espreitam à noite, caçando nas sombras, atrás de nós, vampiros. Histórias de sua sede profana por sangue evocam pesadelos. Mas o medo desses poderes sobrenaturais poderia nos inspirar tamanho terror porque secretamente os desejamos? Nina Auerbach é professora de inglês na Universidade da Pensilvânia. Entusiasta dos vampiros, ela acredita que eles representam nossos desejos mais proibidos.
Despite all the changes through the generations and through vampire styles, vampires are always there and they're always very attractive because they embody a life beyond the life we know.
As histórias de vampiros surgiram pela primeira vez na Europa do século XV. Esses relatos falavam de mortos enterrados recentemente que levantavam da sepultura famintos por sangue. A encarnação do mal. Eles se limitavam a vagar pela noite no campo. O Dr. Phil Stevens, o antropólogo da Universidade Estadual de Nova York, em Buffalo, observa que as primeiras lendas interagem com os medos humanos primitivos.
Blood has power. Blood is life. And if people want to do you harm, they can do harm through your blood, by drawing out your blood. It's the stuff of dreams. It's the stuff of nightmares. A very common universal nightmare is that something has visited you at night and sucked some blood from your body.
Temendo que os mortos-vivos assombrassem a noite, europeus orientais do século XVIII cavavam sepulturas recentes. O que descobriram parecia confirmar seus piores temores. Diz a lenda que achavam corpos inchados, com bocas e mãos ensanguentadas. Hoje, a medicina moderna leva alguns a suspeitar que os corpos que foram desenterrados nesse estado pavoroso eram, de fato, mortos-vivos, mas não porque eram vampiros.
A lot of people were buried alive because there weren't doctors and there weren't machines to tell when death came about. So if you then went back and looked at the corpse of your father, blood would be coming out of his mouth and he would be, his fingernails would be scratching at the coffin, so they would be bloody.
They would see signs that to them was clear evidence that this person was in fact a vampire. They would sometimes see the body as being bloated, and they would interpret that as being the result of the vampire recently sucking blood, because it actually got bigger. They would sometimes see blood around the mouth, and they would interpret that as well as being evidence that the body was recently out draining blood from victims. Well, in fact, modern science will tell you that that's just a natural part of the process of what happens when bodies start to decompose. Is you have blood in the veins and in the lungs, and as the gases expand, blood is forced up into the mouth.
Também se descobriu que durante o início de 1720, a Europa Oriental foi palco de uma grande epidemia de raiva. Não só as pessoas com raiva têm sintomas semelhantes aos dos vampiros, mas a lenda do vampiro também se originou na Europa Oriental de 1700. Mas foi no final do século XIX que o vampiro foi para sempre imortalizado por um personagem diabólico, Drácula. A criação do escritor Bram Stoker deu aos vampiros qualidades de astros. Desde que começaram a ter uma forte influência nas telas de cinema e na literatura, sua imagem passou a refletir a época.
Dracula is himself always mutating. In Bram Stoker's novel, he's this ratty, repulsive, corpse-like old man. And then in the theater and movies, Dracula got more and more sexy and suave. So in the 1930s, he became Bela Lugosi, this foreign count in a tuxedo and with a cape.
Os vampiros personificam o chamariz do perigo, mas são retratados como cativantes, até sexy.
Well, I think the popularity of the vampire, the kind of adhesiveness of vampires, it means you're not only not dead, you're undead. You're in some sort of higher state where you can be brilliant and witty and charming forever. Everything becomes more worthwhile. It's an intensification of life.
There's a whole psychology of why the idea of vampirism is so attractive to people, but we've got to recognize that it was all folklore. It has never been documented to really happen.
Vampires are among us. They are teachers, doctors, lawyers, students.
De dia, Father Sebastian caminha entre nós. À noite ele praticava o vampirismo e não está só.
They could be the bum on the street to a Wall Street broker. They could be a priest, they could be a dominatrix. It's such a diverse community, and a lot of people have their dayside job and then they have their nightside experiences.
Sebastian pertence a uma subcultura crescente que adota a mitologia dos vampiros. Ele reverencia o personagem fictício como seu modelo.
A vampire is basically an individual who, in the modern culture, takes the vampire mythology as a metaphor into their personal lives. Some people take it as a religion, some people take it as spirituality. There's like your sanguinarian vampires, which are your blood drinkers. You also have your energy vampires, your emotional vampires, and your psychic vampires. You're a vampire, and then you have your preferences.
Os críticos veem aqueles que praticam o vampirismo como mortais com vidas de fantasias ricas.
The modern vampires, I believe they're generally sincere, but I think it's largely role-playing. And I think it's essentially harmless, but I don't know that it is necessarily anything that's pegged to anything real. For the most part, from what I know of modern vampires, again, they're deriving their lifestyle and what they know from vampires, not from anything in reality, but something in fiction.
It's more practicing an older form of magic, engaging in energy exchanges. The blood drinkers feed off energy. The word I prefer to use is prana, which is like your aura. The prana is in the blood. What happens is when you consume the blood, then the prana goes into you.
There is absolutely no clinical evidence for the argument that certain people have a craving for blood and that by consuming blood they will replenish their own. There's no evidence for that.
Até o dia de hoje, as lendas de vampiro continuam cativando e aterrorizando a imaginação. Elas despertam nossos desejos mais ocultos. Parecemos ter fome por vampiros, tanto quanto eles têm sede pelo nosso sangue.
What matters about these creatures that are so clearly delineated for us, but we've never really seen them, is that we want them so much and we want them to be. But I think if we could prove there were vampires, they would no longer be so appealing because they'd be mundane like mortals.
The greatest misconception of vampires is that we're all crazed, occultist, devil worshippers, and that we're all insane and have a lot of problems. The main thing is that we're human beings with our own way and our own traditions and our own philosophies, and we have every right to do what we want as long as we're not hurting anyone else.
Vampire lore is very real, and it's a very rich vein of motifs and narratives to draw from. And it can be very compelling for people. And I can understand why people would embrace this and think, hey, this is really cool, and do something with it. They're emulating a fictional character, but if they want to do that, why not?
The vampire has become a storytelling staple, but some people actually claim to live for and on blood. But after scrutinizing vampire culture, I don't see a drop of evidence.
Arrancados de seus lares, os escravos da África Ocidental foram levados para o Caribe com apenas um bem: a fé. Quando a fé foi libertada, uma nova religião estourou na colônia francesa do Haiti. Nascida como Vodou, ela evoluiu para uma religião conhecida como Voodoo.
Voodoo is one of the most widely misunderstood concepts that we have in our language. It's used to mean evil, occult, sinister, magic, witchcraft, and so on and so on. And it's widely used and misused.
Alguns chamam de magia negra, mas para os adeptos, o voodoo é a adoração da vida.
Voodoo is a living religion, and as such it adapts itself, and it adapts itself to the many problems and challenges. And it seeks for means of solving those challenges.
Nascido no Haiti, o sacerdote voodoo Max Beauvoir vê sua forma de adoração como uma grande sobrevivência.
The tradition called voodoo is greatly African, but yet I would say that the Haitian people have made their own religion out of those very many different elements.
Uma vez transplantada da África, a prática do voodoo prospera no solo fértil do Haiti, predominantemente católico.
These African religions really survived and prospered only in those countries where the colonial powers were Catholic. And it's an important thing to recognize at the very beginning, because what Catholicism provides that Protestantism doesn't provide is a cult of the saints. And the saints, as practiced in Catholicism, were easily merged with the personalities of the various divinities of African religion.
No Haiti, fogueiras iluminam os céus noturnos. O som dos tambores enche o ar e os animais são ritualisticamente sacrificados para espíritos do voodoo.
The animal is sacrificed to a divine power of some sort, and then a communion of the flesh of that animal is affected. But there are circumstances where animals are used, for instance, to take away negative vibrations from people. So they're used as a kind of a cleansing.
They are like the ambassadors. So in fact, for us, it's most important to don't have those sacrifices at time. Mostly since, in fact, let's face it, there is no life without sacrifices.
O voodoo espalhou o medo nos corações dos brancos donos de escravos. Eles temiam que ele tivesse o poder da magia negra.
A lot of these European peoples believed in witchcraft and in evil spirits, and they really did believe that these Africans could invoke evil spirits and maybe send them after other people. And so they banned voodoo. They made it illegal, punishable by chopping off of an ear or a limb, and torture and death for a third or second or third offense. And so voodoo had to go underground.
Empurrado para a clandestinidade e coberto de mistério, o voodoo virou sinônimo do mal. Alguns temiam que seus poderes fossem utilizados para fazer bruxaria, magia e até transformar humanos em zumbis. O Dr. Phil Stevens faz uma distinção clara entre a noção popular do voodoo e a prática haitiana de voodoo.
Remember that voodoo is magic. Voodoo is not religion. Vodou in Haiti is a full-fledged religion. Evil is outside the religion. People in the religion are protected by their faith against evil. Vodou is not witchcraft or sorcery or black magic or any of those things. All of that is outside.
Emigrando para os Estados Unidos no século XVIII, o voodoo encontrou sua base em Nova Orleans. Aqui, o voodoo assumiu um conceito totalmente novo.
It became associated with magic, with incantations, with spells and charms and so on, which people could use for success in love or gambling, or even to project evil and harm against other people. It retained some of its religious elements, but they became dispersed and no longer central.
A mais conhecida praticante de voodoo em Nova Orleans foi Madame Marie Laveau. Ela ficou famosa por sua magia e capacidade mediúnica, mas para alguns, a maior habilidade de Laveau era o talento para o espetáculo.
Marie Laveau was willing to capitalize on, as the voodoo doctors were, capitalize on superstition and belief. And if somebody would buy a little bag of powder for $5 and believe that it had some effect, they were prepared to sell it to him. And Marie Laveau was willing to do pretty much whatever was needed.
Laveau tomou emprestado elementos sagrados do voodoo haitiano para criar sua própria versão. Voodoo que ela alegava ter poderes mágicos que podiam invocar o bem ou o mal por preço.
And she had some advantages. One was she was a hairdresser, and she worked among the rich white ladies in New Orleans who would tell her all their secrets. She also used a network of the other slaves in the various homes and plantations around New Orleans who got all kinds of gossip and rumors and bits of information that she could use. She could actually have an effect by blackmailing people or using knowledge that she actually had.
O medo do voodoo foi que deu o poder a Laveau, mas para o sacerdote Max Beauvoir, a força real do voodoo emana de sua ligação com o reino dos espíritos.
And of course the great goddess, the mother goddess, she's the one who gave birth to people, to animals, to plants, to the stars and the moons and everything that exists in the universe. All these things have forces, life forces that we call lois. And those lois are the ones that we can call to ask for the solutions to those many problems.
There are a number of areas of human endeavor where, because we have profound hopes and fears about the future, about our love situation, about our health, about other problems, in which we may not have an immediate means to effect these, we will turn to magical thinking.
Para Max Beauvoir, o voodoo é mais do que jeito de lidar com os problemas do cotidiano. Também é uma forma de se conectar com seus ancestrais.
Sifflez, Bambi, quoi la main, sifflez, sifflez, oh. N'emballa la flambeau côté ouillé, n'emballa la flambeau côté ouillé. Non merci, bon Dieu, non merci, la vieille Dieu. Voodoo possesses a lot of power. The knowledge of voodoo gives one a powerful tool to do things. And people who do not like voodoo, who do not want voodoo, they feel that the other person is unfair because he's using a powerful tool.
Mas alguns argumentam que o poder do voodoo se limita à crença individual.
The effect that it can have, the actual effect, is just psychological. A hex only works if you think it does. And if you believe that a rooster head put on your doorstep will cause you harm, it probably will. It will get your attention and it'll start you thinking in a certain way, and maybe it'll frighten you, and maybe you'll back off. Something you're doing might actually have some outcome.
Voodoo in America is magic. Magic works if you believe in it. It works by the so-called placebo effect. It works by cultural expectations in very similar ways to the way exorcism works. It works for good or it works for evil if you believe in it.
Enquanto muitos veem o voodoo como uma prática sinistra, parente da feitiçaria ou da bruxaria, para seus seguidores, ele resiste como uma religião de esperança e de vida.
I believe that voodoo is a highly moral religion, at least the way I see it. And as such, it does not create fear. It should not create fear. It creates fears only in the mind of those who are ignorant of it. And how to correct ignorance? Only by knowledge.
Voodoo delivers. It delivers psychic relief from enemies. It delivers rewards when the world has cut you off from rewards. It makes things happen.
Magic works by the individual's own psychology. People will attribute misfortune to a magical cause. If people believe that they have been hexed and something bad happens, they will link the two. This happens all the time. There is no scientific evidence that magic works.
Voodoo is where they have the dolls and they poke you.
I don't really think that voodoo should be an acceptable form of religion. I don't think that sacrifice of animals in any religion is acceptable.
I mean, everybody else does whatever they feel. Why can't they do what they want?
There's no denying that voodoo is a religion with the power to shock, whose believers seek direct connection with the spirits they worship. Animal sacrifice and ritual trances set this faith apart. But voodoo shares one characteristic with belief in vampires and witchcraft. Perhaps what sustains these subcultures is the human imagination. We'll be back again soon with a scientific perspective on extraordinary phenomena. For The Critical Eye, I'm William B. Davis.
Versão brasileira Audiocorp.